In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create a hover effect on the scales here. As you can see here, as we hover over it, we'll get this, and if we click on it, it will also show us a matching link. chartjs org, this one is chartjs 3, and here Amazon, etc, etc. So it gives us all these options here. So let's start to explore how we can do this. This will be a long video. In this video, we're going to focus on how to change the cursor on hover and add clickable links on the X scale in chartJS. And this question came from one of my other videos about here, how to change the mouse cursor on hover. And if you scroll down, you will see the question came from Chan Hao Hugh. So a special thank you to Chan for asking the question. And this is what Chan asked. Hi, can you demonstrate how to make the X or Y label have hover effect and clickable? Well, in this case, I will focus specifically on the X labels, and we will do hover and clickable on that. So I have another video where it shows you how to create a clickable X scale, and I had another video independently that would show you how to create the hover effect. Now I want to combine them, and the reason why I combine them is because we can do some tricks, and I need to use some advanced tricks to do it. That is slightly different than if you would get those two separate in there. So let's start with that. So this will be a nice challenge as well, and you will learn a lot about how to use the Canvas API on itself. First thing what we need is to get our default code. Let's see here, I don't need that one, I need this. So what we're going here is to go to chartjs3.com, and then here getting started to get our default code. You might notice this here. My Google Chrome gives this error. I need to really fix this one time, but anyway. Copy this chunk of code, and if you are in Firefox, you will notice it will work, and on my other laptop or MacBook works fine as well. But let's copy this code here and continue on. Paste this in here, and once we did that, I want to cut out this, and then eventually I want to paste it in here. Save that, and refresh. There we are. So now what I want to do here is basically work on this, and what we need to do is we're going to use a few tricks here along the way. But the first one is, of course, to start working on the item. And to do that, we need to figure out or let the canvas understand that the moment we mouse over on top of this canvas, that it will start to trigger. Because this is very important, because we need to know the hover effect, or this is not even the hover effect. Don't get confused. We're basically working with the mouse move effect. The mouse move effect basically tracks the X and Y coordinates of the movement of the mouse instead of hover, because in hover, if you are on the canvas, basically you're hover. No matter where you are, it will consider it as hover, but it will not anymore, once you hover around it, it will not anymore activate anything else. It will just say it is hovered, yes. The moment you're away from the hover, at that moment it will track you are not anymore on hover. But if you're on here, it will not give you the coordinates if you are moving around within the element. So this is very important. So mouse move gives you the coordinates. Even if you're here, it will trigger and it will say how many pixels. If you move here, you will see here the new coordinates of that. Very, very important. This is really important stuff to understand. Alright, but to understand this, or to track it first, we need to do here a ctx, comma, and then we say here ctx, this could be a constant, equals what we just pasted here or cut. It will be this canvas here, because we want to track, of course, the movement on this specific canvas with this ID here. Save this, refresh, nothing happens here, of course. Alright, so now we have this. Now we can start working on the basics. So we're going to create here 3 different functions. One is for the click, one is for the hover, and one will be eventually, which is extremely important, is for getting the data, so we don't have to duplicate the data multiple times. Alright, so what we're going to do now is, I guess, what would be the best thing is to start working with the basics. So what we're going to do here is, while I'm looking at my notes, I'm going to grab here a new function, or not even a function. I want to do the ctx. I want to do the add event listener to trigger the actions, or at least the events. So what we're going to do here, we say here ctx, which is of course this canvas here. So the moment we are in here, we say add event listener. And in this add event listener, we have 2 items. The first one is mouse move, comma, and then we say here this will be an E event, of just the event, whatever we want to track, and this will be triggering a specific function here. So what we're going to do here, this for the mouse move, you want to have basically the I guess the pointer. You can call this the pointer scales, where we want to really convert the pointer of the mouse into a cursor. So that's the one we want, of course. So that makes sense. So in here, what I'm going to say here, this will be CTX, which is the reference of this one here, because we want to grab the canvas plus the event, which is this here, which is basically the mouse move. Very important here. So once we have this here, we have number one, and then what I want to do is another one, is the following, which would be not mouse move, but this is based on click. So the moment we click here, we should have here what we can name here the link scale. So if I save this now, of course nothing will happen. I probably get an error, and the reason why we get an error is we didn't have any functions. So that makes sense. So let's create the functions here. So very simple here. We're going to say this, and we say, oh, of course we say here function pointer scale, and here we're going to grab the information. So this is the CTX, and the CTX is the canvas, as this one here. So we say here just canvas, comma, and here what we can say here for the pointer scale is, I guess, the mouse move. That will be a proper term, but we can use hover as well. But hover is different from mouse move, as I indicated before. So you should know the difference here. All right. So here we can do now here console log and just say here mouse has been moved. So then we track if that one works. Then we have another one here, which would be the event listener of the link scale, and this will be specifically on click. So this will be canvas and then click, exactly the same. We still target the same canvas, as you can see here. The only thing what we want to do here now is we have clicked, track the click. We have clicked. Save this. Refresh. All right. So now you can see here mouse has been moved, and if I click here, we have clicked. There we are. So you can see here it gets 2 items here. This is extremely important. All right. So with this, we need to start working with the coordinates, but there's a lot of items in the coordinates that we need to change. And what I will do is I will create a separate function here. And this function, I'll say here, this can be here the core, or well, let's call this the update. And I'm going to explain later on why we call it the update scales. Because we want to make sure that this always becomes updated with the latest adjustments. But we're going to copy this and here as well. So what happens here is basically the following. When we mouse move, we update the scale. And when we click on it, we will also update. And this is essential for us. And later on, because when you move or change the size of it, we want to make sure that the scale, if you resize it, that the pixels here will be recalculated with the matching item. So this would mean that this here will create a new function. And this function is essential here. This is the update scales. And what this really does is basically going to give us all the data here. So what I'm going to do now, this is very, very important. We're going to use some items here. And I'm going to use a trick here which we will call hoisting, or basically it is hoisting. So what is hoisting? And if you think about hoisting, it's not hosting, not this, no. Hoisting. Hoisting is lifting up a flag. That's the official term of it. Basically what hoisting does is if you put a flag on a flagpole, it's down, and then you're going to pull the wire, it will gradually go up. And what we will do is hoisting is we're going to put a constant or a let value somewhere here outside that has no value. So we're going to say here, let's say let value x, for example. Later on we're going to use the right term. But we will say here, we don't have anything in here yet. So it's a question mark what value it is. But then we can put it in here. Then we could say here, we can reassign that. We say value x equals 10. And what will happen is this will be recognized, and then this can be used everywhere else. So this will push it basically in here. This is a trick that we need to do because if we're in a function, we cannot move around here with let and constants. We can use var, but this is not recommended. So, well, maybe you can use it. Is it recommended? Most people say it's not. So that's why we don't use that. So that's why we're going to use the hoisting. Hoisting, we will lift up the value to the very top, and then we can use this value here and here. Alright, very important concept here that we're going to use now. So of course, if we want to use value x, we're going to use other values in here. So in here, what we're going to do is the following. Well, what we can do, let's start with the very top, because we're going to use, in total, we need 10 different let values. So is this the right way to do it? To be honest, I'm not 100% satisfied with this, but this is the best way I can come up without duplicating too much code. So if you have another way, I really love to hear it, but also if you have another way which you think is better, go for that. That's fine. Doesn't matter. But I'm just showing you this because I cannot find a better way as of now. So I'm going to say here, this will be the scale top. And this will be important. Why? Because what we're going to do now is we hover here over. And this hovering is all fine. But I don't need all these coordinates here above. I do not care about that. Because what I want to trigger is just basically in here. What we're going to do is here is create, just imagine here a imaginary border box. Where we start here. And then goes down here at the bottom. And then we go to the right side. And then here up. And then here. So anywhere we click on here or hover on here. It should be a link. Plus, if you click on it, or sorry, it's a link if you click on it. Plus, if you hover over with your mouse, the cursor should convert into a pointer. And this, of course, works same here, 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 here. So we have to create here a nice value, and it's a whole formula that we're going to build on. So we have a lot of items. So the scale top is basically the top here, and I'm going to show you later where you can grab that one. And then we have here. This is the left side here, and then here we have the right side scale, and here we have the bottom scale. So how do we get that? Well, let me just show you that one. I guess that would be a good one to show you right now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say here my chart. Then in here, we're going to say here scales and then .x. And if we do this, let's comment out this for now. Save that. We will get a lot of extra information here. And I talked about chartArea. So basically, this is all chartArea, and the chartArea, or basically chartjs, changed the structure that it doesn't track anymore movements outside the chartArea. What is outside the chartArea? That is this part here, this here, and this one here, basically. So that would mean that we have to do a little bit of our own work. And that's why we're building our own functionality here, or function here. So, but what is nice here, we do get some of the information here. It gives us information about the chart and the scale specifically. It does contain this. So I'm sure we can do it somewhere inside, but how exactly has always been a mystery for 2 months for me now. So I thought fair enough, we'll make our own version. So this here, 350, what is the bottom 350? Click on this and then you can see here, look at the tooltip up. You see 700 by 350. 700 is the width here, and then the height would be 350. So the very bottom here is 350 pixels. Alright, and the reason why this is 350 pixels is because if you start here in the corner, it will be 0.0 as the coordinates. And then it would move, if you want to move to the bottom, we go all down, we can say 0 by 350. And if you would move here to the right side, we have here this white space here, we can get this. That is basically the left information here. So we get all of these coordinates, or at least most of them, we can grab here immediately. So let's do this one first. So we get this, we say here the bottom. And this will be, then you will understand here, we have scale top. Well, let's say here, scale bottom. And we can say here scale, I guess, capital B. And what we want to do here is, in here, in this function here, we're going to grab this. And later on, we need to do some resizing updates, because that will be important as well. However, don't worry about it. So we have this here, and then we say here, scale bottom equals my chart x dot bottom. Alright, that makes sense. So that's the first one. So what we need more is the left. The left here is as well, same story. 0 is here on the left side is 0. Basically the x value is 0, but if you want to go 27 pixels, basically here it starts drawing the chart. But what we also know is that 27 pixels, or 27, let's see, where is it? Left, 27 plus plus is also the area here. So in here, this square here, I don't want to make this, I don't want to make this clickable. I only want the money, sorry, I only want to make this part clickable here, not this. It wouldn't make any sense here because it's outside the scale or the X scale here of the label. So this imaginary box here, now we have the left side we already figured out as well. So we can do here another one. Let's put it here. We say here scale left. I'll just say capital L left. And what I will do is, I'll just, to make this really organized, because it makes sense, we say left, this should be left. And then what I want to have one is the top as well. So how do we get the top here? I'll say top. If I'm not mistaken, there should be already a top here. So if I scroll down here, let's look here, the T for top. There you can see here, we get the value of top, which is exactly the same. If I click on here, what is the top? Well, if the bottom is this, 350, there should be about here, maybe 30 pixels, or 29 to be exact, difference. So the top here is basically the starting point of the scale here. So let's grab this top value here. And then once we have this, we say this is top, and then here, of course, we have another one as well. So I'm going to say here let, and in this let we're going to say scale top, semicolon, enter, and then another one let scale. This would be left. And this is just hoisting. This is all hoisting here. And then we have another one. Let would be eventually scale right, and scale right is a more tricky one. So let's look at this. So what is scale right? The reason why I'm putting it here, because here we have the update, and later on we want this, because of the hosting, this information will be also put in this function and this function without doing a copy pasting of it. Because you can see here we're going to use a lot of codes already, and reducing the duplication of it is better. They say keep it dry, so this is what I'm doing. So how do we calculate then basically this width here, or not really the width? Well, well, it is the width. To be honest, this is the width here of one item, but the full width would be this, and this is here the right side. So if you look here for right, if I'm not mistaken here, right is 700, which is correct, because let's look at this. It's the length or the width is 700. So it starts here, and that is 700. So how do we calculate then the exact width per item? Well, what we can do is here, we need to do here the left. We know here is some space here of left, would be this. So we can say width minus the left here. However, we don't have to do that. It's already been done for us if you look at the max width here. The max width is basically the scale width here, which is exactly the same here, I guess. And surprisingly, it is exactly the same here, so I guess we can use that one here because that's the right. I guess we can just use the width here. Alright, I didn't know that, I just realized this, but that is nice. So we get the width here, but then you will say, well, hold on. This will not give us all the values here because it will give us everything here clickable. You're right. What we want to do is clickable or hover on only the specific scale and make sure we get the right or extract the right value out of it. So how do we do this then? So to do this, we go down here because we have the width here. This is the full width of the item here, from here to here. If you scroll down here, you will see here eventually the ticks. The ticks length, well, we need to have the ticks. Where are the ticks? There you are, the ticks. So the ticks indicate how many labels we have. So these are the tick labels, meaning the length here. So if we do the width divide by the total amount of ticks length, which is 7, we should get about 95 plus pixels in width. So we're going to say here, divide by, copy this, and we don't do width, but we say here, ticks.length. Once we do this, then we save this one, we will eventually grab the official length of this. So then we have the first part here. So once we have this, and we can even do an our console walk, you will see here, scale right. If I refresh here, alright, and then we need to, if I click on it, what does it do? Oh, I guess it does a lot of things. Alright, so what I want to do here, I want to just comment out. We have the update scale, so update scales is working. So it should be, if I hover over it, there you are. If you hover over it, this is approximately the width per item. Very important to remember. So that's 96, almost 100 or 96 pixels. So now we have this. Now what we need to do is this. I want to get this a bit more organized because this is for us very important, but I want this organized so later on we can put it here all together where we have it all very nice. For every tick we have the top, bottom, left and right. So what we're going to do here now is basically a more luxury what you can do, but I would like to have this so you have a nice organized chunk of code. Even though it maybe requires extra code, it is more organized. So I'm going to say here let scales with an S, pay attention, this is S, and then I will say here left. Then you have another one here, let scales right. So don't get confused with scale and here is the plural. And the reason why is this. Look at this left here. The left will start at 27. But what is the next one here? To calculate this, we need to go basically, it's 27 plus whatever is the width of the right will be here. This will be the new starting point. And then the next one would be here. So we have to loop that and calculate that. So chartJS does it for us automatically. Since we're using now our own personal code or our own canvas code, we need to build our own functionality for this. So this is very, very important. So we're going to use this here as well. And then we're going to make here a simple function here that will basically create this. What I want to do here, I will say this is an array because I will need this value here. So what we're going to do here is the following. I'm going to say here a for loop. We say for loop and let I equals 0, which I stands for iteration, and iteration means repeating yourself a X number of times. How many times? Well, that will depend on right now. So then we say here I will be repeated, keep on looping, repeating and looping is basically the same because loop means doing the same thing over and over. For how many times? Well, this will depend on how many ticks we have. So we grab here the ticks length. Once we did that, then we say here I plus to increment, and then we have this here. So once we do this, in here, we're going to say the following, because what we want to do is we want to calculate and then push the values in here. So how is this calculated? Well, we're going to get here the scale left, and this one here, we say dot push, and you should know what push means. Push basically means push a value into the array here. So the first one will be very simple. The first one will be scale left, which is basically the value here, or that's this one here right now. And then we say here plus, and then we're going to do here formula. I, and remember I stands for 0, because the first one in the array. So the first one multiplied by the scale right, that's this one here. So the first one is 0, so 0 will only keep 27, which is correct. This is 27, but the next one would be, if this would be about 100 pixels, 127. Next one is 227, 327, etc., etc. So you can see here now, we loop through this nicely. So when we did that, another item I want to do is the scale or scales right dot push. And in here, we're going to do again another item. So what we need to do, how do we calculate the right side here? It is basically left plus right for the first one, and then plus a right multiplier. And why? Because in the first one it multiplies by 0, but the next one it will multiply by 1, so it will add up here. So basically this is 27 plus 100. So that's the first one, 127. The next one would be 227, 327, 400, 500, 600, 727, etc., etc. You probably get the entire structure what we have here now. So what we're going to do here and here is we say scale left plus scale right, and then plus multiplier of I starts with 0, multiplied by scale right. So you can see here, now we have our item here, and this should all work. If we do this, we will have eventually our arrays nicely here. So if we grab this, put in here, put that one in there, and say this is right, save that, and refresh. So if I hover over it, alright, so there we are. And right now what it does, of course, is I guess it hover over and it does a lot of things. Fair enough. We have to solve that one later on. So I'm going to work on it later on, or we have to even solve that one maybe right now. What we need to do here, anyway, this is fine. So we keep that one here. And so we have this one here for now. So we have this here, we have all of this here working. And I guess this here is far too intense, but fair enough. I'm going to check later on if we have maybe a mistake in here. Not sure. It should not be. But anyway, what we want to do now is the following. because right now it just keeps on pushing. I guess what we need to do here is a reset or a resize here, or that it eventually resets itself consistently, but that will be alright. I'm going to work on that one, or maybe we can do that right now by resizing the item here. So if I say my chart dot resize, if I save that, will we get that here? No. Did I get the console log? Let's see here. Alright, so it keeps on pushing. So how many items do we have? We have far too many ticks here. So I'm going to check later on what this is. Probably we need to maybe reset this one into here. One or the other. Anyway, what we're going to do here now is the next item. What we need is basically the coordinates. And the coordinates, what I'm referring to here, is the following. Let's see here. I guess here maybe I would do this one here, because I'm not sure why this is really looping. And to make sure that this works, we can just put this one, well, we say here by default, always in this function. I want to make sure, because I have a feeling like something ain't right, or is not right, sorry. So we say here dot length equals 0. So this would make sure that we reset our scale automatically. Alright, so if I save this now, here, save that, let's see, there you are. So we have this always the same. Alright, so maybe I had to do this, although my notes doesn't show that, so I don't know why exactly, but that's alright. So what we're going to do next is, and this is very important, is eventually continue on. What we need to do now is when we hover over the items, we need to have the coordinates. And the coordinates becomes very important for us. And the reason why is the following. When we click on basically the item, we need to get the coordinates so we know exactly where we are, because we get now the pixels. You can see here, these are all the pixels here. And these coordinates now, we need to click here on the mouse click. So let's do this one here now. What I want to do here, if I refresh this, does it show all these? Well, it keeps on showing this. So do I have a console here? That's this one here. Alright, so we clean that up. So what I want to do now is this one here. If I grab this here, you will see here now we have here certain coordinates. So if I do here the console.log, and then we say here the mouse move, we will grab here the coordinates. If I save this, we move here, we can see here we get the amount of pixels here. And this here is the x and y value. So if I go in down here, let's see what is our x and y value. You can see our x and y value indicates here x stands for 719 and y stands for 500 plus. And if you are very keen, what I showed you just, if you click here on it, our canvas is only 700 by 350. So we are, according to our numbers, we are beyond the page. And the reason why this happens is because it tracks not only the pixels where we are on, but it tracks it from our entire screen. So I don't want this. What I want to do is I want to remove the calculation from the screen here, that here will be 0, 0, where that is the official starting point of the canvas is 0, 0 here, and this should be 700 by 350. Very important to understand this. So then later on we can compare these coordinates here, and then it will work. So this is what we're going to do here. So what do we need to do then is basically in here we're going to do another coordinate, and that will be also related to this here. So I'm only going to say here is we say let. And let here we say reset coordinates. And these reset coordinates will be eventually the resetting by calculating the difference between whatever the screen is minus whatever we have here on here. So we go back here to 0, 0 to here, so we know the exact coordinates of this. Very important. So I hope you understand this, because this is very important here. So we say let x, and then we have here another one, let y. So these three here are our final hoisting values. So what we're going to do now is basically in here start working on the update here. Just grab the values here. So what we're going to do here, oh sorry, it's not even on here, sorry. It will be below, because we need to do it on the mouse over and or the mouse move, and of course on the click. So what we're going to do here is the following. I'm going to say here reset coordinates, and the reset coordinates will be based on what? Well, let's see. Will be based on the following: equals canvas dot then get bounding, make sure you spell it correct, client rectangle. Alright, so basically this is a command that will recalculate everything, and then it will give us not only the coordinates from based on the screen wherever we click on, or the coordinates of this, but also the coordinates specifically of this. And what we need to do is that one minus these coordinates here, we can calculate, and then we get the exact number. So if you want to understand here, console log, let's hide this mouse move for now. Just grab this here, put it in here, save that, refresh. If we move here, let's click on this. All right, you can see here there's a huge amount. If we move on there, look what we get. We get all these kind of information here, but you also see here the X and Y. And if you go down here at the very bottom, what is our values? You can see here, it should show certain value. It shows here bottom, top, height. To understand there's a height. It also understands the differences here. So basically, what it's calculating is the certain differences here. From how much is this here, we remove that, and then we start here at 0, 0. That's basically the essence of it. So just understand that part. So once we have that, then what we want to do here is basically this. We want to say here, well, we have this rest coordinate here, which is this one, and let's get the X value. So we say X equals mouse move, which is the movement coordinates, dot client X minus we set coordinates dot left. Remember, we're going to work from, it calculates from the left. So what happens is just from the left, how many to the left do we need to go? And then it will calculate here. So if you calculate this, and if I just do a console log, maybe on both of those, you will see eventually the differences here. So you will understand that nicely. And this here basically is truly understanding Canvas API. And once you understand this, you can almost do anything with chartJS, because you can just create anything from scratch. Save this, refresh. Move over, you can see here, we have here 45 or whatever this. What is this? This is the left. All right, so what is the left? According to this here, if I go, well, let me just refresh. You go here, you can see here the left is 45, and then the first one is 74. All right, so we will calculate this minus that, we'll calculate the exact number here. So if we do now, we can do here the console log dot X. Then you will see here, save that, refresh. There you are. So now, am I correct? So now if I see it here somewhere, you can see here, the worst one apparently for some reason, -1 is somewhere here. So, but I will accept that tiny flaw of 1 pixel. That's all right. But you can see here, if I go here, we are here at, it should be somewhere 700 or 699 because it's -1. Fair enough. So of course, if we do this, you probably figure out we can now also do the Y value exactly the same. But this is the only one that we need to do twice, here and down. I have tried to put it in there, but maybe there's something I'm missing. But of course here, we do it calculate from the top. So move, the Y coordinate is basically mouse move, client Y. And then here we set coordinates from the top. And the top is basically calculating this difference here, while left was just calculating this difference here. Alright, so if I go, well, I don't have to do console log, I think, for this, or maybe I need. Refresh, if we go down here, you can see here, there should be 350, and you can see here, I guess 300 plus, how big is this? 350, so I guess the worst case here, well, fair enough. Here, 350, 300, where are we? 347, 349. Alright, so 350 almost. Tiny difference of one tiny pixel. Acceptable margin of error margin for me. So now we have this here, so we have this now. Let's start and connect them together, because we have this here, and what I want to do now is the following. We're going to look here into our pointer scale, and then what we need to do here is a if statement. So we say for, then we say here let And then, oh, maybe what we can do, I realized that we didn't do that one yet, so let's do that one right now. So we have the coordinates here, so we did this. That is basically done here. What I want to do is the final one here. This is to organize the data a bit more. We have all of these items here. What I want to do now is make sure that these ticks have very nice organized data. Tick, there you can see ticks 1, or basically line 1 will have the top, bottom, and left and right pixel amount. So what I'm going to do is here create a object. You can do this if you want. I would recommend to do it just to organize the data, and then later on we can just play around with that. So it's an extra step, but it's an advanced step for you to just organize your data. So what we're going to do here then is the following. We're going to create here, let's say here the scales coordinates, which will get the coordinates of every scale item, for every item nicely organized in top, bottom, left, and right. So we say here, we're going to loop through basically this. So we say here scale, let's grab here the scale left, which is our array. Well, that's this one here, of course. We say scale left, scales, sorry, make sure this one, because this is the loop here. This is the loop here. And then we say here dot, and then we say here map. What we're going to do in here, for every of these scale left, or, well, what we can say here, maybe we can say here left. Yeah, that would be fine. We can say for every left item, comma, index. Alright, so basically what we're going to do here is just this is the array. It loops through that array, and then every value in that array is now considered the word left. And then it also grabs the index number. Very important now what we're going to do here. Then we're going to create a function here, and this is a function arrow expression. In here now, we're going to do this. So just to let me show you what I want to do here, I just want to say here, scales coordinates. So I'm going to give you a visual representation. It will be like this, and then we say here basically this would be the first index, would be this, and it should be an array as well. Then here basically what we're going to do here is index 0, and I'm not sure if this is really correctly done, but that's alright. Then we say here left x pixels, amount of pixels, and then we have right amount of pixels, bottom and top. And then we have this for every of these items like that, in total of 7. So that's what I want to do here. So you have understanding what I'm trying to achieve here. Will be organized. But once I echo out this, you will see, or sorry, echo, that is PHP term. Once we do a console log, you will understand what I'm saying, what I'm doing here. So what we're going to do here is the first thing. So this sales coordinates, and then we're going to create here what we call an object. So we say let, then we can call the scale object, and this scale object equals this. And then what I want to do here, in this scale object, well, let's get the first item. Let's say here is top equals what exactly? So if we need to get here, we need to get the value here. Because this is just always a fixed value, we can just copy this one and put it in here. We can loop through it 7 times. Then what I want to do here, copy this, we do another one, and then we say here the bottom. And the bottom is just basically this one, which is also exactly the same. So this will save us some time here, so that's the easiest one. So the next one here, of course, will be the object here, and then we say here left. And what is left? In this case, left equals this here, because that's the array that will loop through. So all these values are being looped through in here. Final one is eventually the right. So how do you do right? The right is a slightly more tricky one, because the right is basically this array here based on the index. And index, we say here index. Why like this? Because this here, it will loop through it. It will understand index 0, 1, 2, 3. It will loop through 7 times. So it will understand this. And these two are so correlated with each other. So now we have this nicely done here. So once we did this, what I want to do here is, of course, the final item. We say enter. Say return. What are we going to return? Return this. So basically we push the values here, this object, into this array here. And once we did that, you can see here now we have this scale, and we can do this in the console log, or we can even do it here outside, doesn't matter. We do it here, console log. Oh wait, I guess it will only work in the function because it's connected to each other. So we do here, console log. We grab this here. If I save that, do I have any other console logs? No. If I refresh here now, hover over it, then you can see here, once we hover over it, we get all this data, and look at this. This looks now very nice, organized. You can see here 27, this plus 100, approx another 100, etc., etc. So it always keeps on going, and it will not damage anything of our code here, which is beautiful. So now we have this, and this sales coordinates can be now pushed into our if statement here on both our functions here. This here eventually needs to be duplicated in down, but let's hold on with that. I will not do that yet. Let's work on our final item of our pointer. So what we're going to do is the following. In our pointer, we're going to create a for loop. And in this for loop, we're going to do the following. We say here, let I equals 0. Alright, and then we say I will loop through this as long as we have the amount of ticks. So how many ticks we have? Well, that's basically this one here, ticks length. It's very similar as what we did before. Then we say I plus plus. So then what we're going to do is we're going to basically create an if statement. And then in our if statement, we do the following. If we hover over a certain item and the coordinates match with wherever our mouse move over is, if that is matching, convert this into a pointer. If it's not matching, set it back to default or keep it on default. Very important. That's basically what we're going to do here, and that's what we're going to do right now. So in here, we're going to say this. We have this if, we have here the for loop, but we need to do a for loop as well. And the reason why we're doing a for loop is because we have multiple values as well. So we're going to loop through them, but once we hit it, we're going to break it. So I'm going to show you, and then you will understand why. Alright, so we say here x, which is our hoisting value here above, which grabs it from here, so it will understand this. So here will be, if x is larger, then what exactly? Well, now we have our scale coordinates here. Remember these. So we can just grab here the scale coordinates. We say if the x is larger than scale coordinate left, remember? That's the first one here, the left line we're going to grab. And then we say, and if x is smaller than scale coordinates right. Which is basically, well, let's save that, we'll put it in there. It basically means if we are in here, but we are not beyond here, or within this range here, then we are basically in here. But of course, we also need to do the y value. So we say the y as well. So if y is larger than scale coordinate top, which is top, and and scale coordinate bottom. Oh, sorry, not and, but and y is smaller than scale coordinate bottom, meaning that if we are here and between here, so this here, right? This is so basically this border now, or this box. In that case, if this is true, what do I want to do? I want to say here, at that very moment we say here the canvas, or CTX, basically, which is the canvas as well. CTX style dot cursor equals a string value pointer. So once we did this, that is true. Else, I'm going to say here equals default. So if I do this and save this right now, let's try this on. Then we can see here. Is it working? Well, hold on. Let's see here if that is the case. Pointer. Let's see. Are you still working? The default is the pointer scale. Let's see. Scale cursor. What am I missing? Why are you not responding? So let's see here if we're missing something. Then listen to this. This should be all working. Alright, so I'm going to just hide this and see what am I missing. Are we on here anywhere? No. Alright, so I just have to quickly solve this. Alright, I just thought I realized a tiny issue here. So the issue is basically not really big. What I forgot here is this. So I'm going to show you. So we have this console off. So let me just refresh this and move over here. You can see here we have this, right? All these numbers here. So this means that we need to for loop them with this I. Of course, I forgot about this one. I didn't pay attention. Here, coordinates will be based on the array, of course. If there's no array, how will it know? So I need to say here I. And we need to do this one here on every item here. Of course, I didn't notice this, or I didn't pay attention to it. Alright, save that. Refresh. Now, if you go over it, alright, it doesn't work here, but here it works. So I'm going to explain why it works only here, but not here. Because we did everything correct, right? Yes, we did everything correct. The reason why is it loops to everything. And what happens is, if you go in here, but it loops again, it loops consistently, then it will override, of course, the value here, and then this one will only be triggered. So the issue to solve this is very simple. We're going to do this, and then we say, if we found the match, break the code or break the loop. Do not loop anymore. Because if it loops it, it overwrites it, then it loses the value. So if I do this now, and then you can see here, loop here, there we are, and then here, bam, bam, bam. There we are. So this works nicely. If you want to say, well, hold on, how do I know that the value is here really the same value? Well, you're right. Let me show you. So you have this. Alright, so I'm just going to comment out the sales coordinates. We don't need that anymore. What I want to do here is a console log. And just for the sake of it, we're going to hover over this. And if you hover over this, what can we get here? Maybe the eye. I guess the eye is very straightforward. Hover is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if we go here, and as you can see here, this all works nicely. Alright, so we got this now. We have solved issue number 1. And this is already a long video. So let's solve issue number 2. Same here. Almost similar. So pay attention here. I'm going to copy this code. And the reason I need to copy this is I need here a certain coordinates as well. And by what I need here is this is not... Oh, I noticed I put it in Hover here. When I was testing it, this should be just mouse move again. This should not damage the code. That was when I was just testing to debug. Anyway, this needs to be clicked. So if I just refresh first. There you are. This still works all fine because we just changed this back to this. Alright. But here, we change it to click. Very important here. The reason why we do here click is just different items. And then we want to trigger the click. When we click on this, we need to then, of course, do very similar to what we did here above. So what we're going to do now is the following. In here, we can do basically the exact same item. What we need to do here now is we can almost grab this code, put it in here, and then we have this. And what we want to do here is the following. We say here, alright, but here, of course, we don't have to break it. We don't even have to do this. We don't even have to do that one. And what we need to do here is not even a pointer. What I want to do here is the following. I'm going to put in here a specific link. But for now, what I will do is just for the sake of it, console log, and then I'll say my chart.config.data.labels. Alright? So that would mean, if you're very familiar with my code, you probably know what it is, but if you don't know, let me explain this. My chart is, let's go up here, there we are. So my chart, config, from config we go to data, and from data we go here into labels. So if I click now on this specific label, it should grab the name of the label here. If I go down, labels, and then here, of course, what I need to do then here, the I. Yes, because we're looping it. Save this. Refresh. Oh, unexpected end of input in 173. 173, where are we? What did I do? Did I do something undesirable? Yes, I did. Alright. So what is going on here? Apparently, I copied code, but I forgot to put in here a parentheses or a curly braces. So you can see here, this here, I need to copy it like that. So what is missing here? You can see here we are missing, most likely, we have this, there we are, then we have that one. So what I miss here is another one here. This, because the function here closes this. Alright? Pay attention, should be 3 exactly identical here. Save that, refresh. There you are. So if I click now, there you are. I get Sunday. You can see here we already have the Hoover effect. Now we have here Sunday, Monday, all the days that we want. So final item here now, how do we put in a link? Let me show you. Let's play around here with a specific item. And what we can do here is we can create here so-called object array values, because this is still JavaScript. So I'm going to say here labels link. And this here, we can just put in here anything. So I'm going to just say here HTTP. And then here www.google.com, and I'm going to copy this multiple times. We need to have 7. Oh, sorry, that is not what I want. Don't save that, we don't need that. We are here, that's too fast. Special command apparently I pressed, sorry about that. So what we need to do here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma, 6, comma, 7. Alright, so here now, let's say chartjs3.com, which is my site. Let's do here chartjs.org, which is a phenomenal documentation. Do Google, which is wonderful, and then we say here, let's say Amazon. So yeah, we have Flipkart, we have Food Panda, and I guess here you can do anything. Let's say Grab, I don't know, grab.com. Not sure if that is the thing. Another food ordering here. Save that. Oh, make sure comma here. Put a comma here, or else you get an error. And what I'm going to do here is basically this. I'm going to change this, not anymore to data. So this will be data labels link with capital L. So I type in labels link because that is the exact same item we have here. Alright, save this, refresh. Now if I click on it, we get the website. Of course we don't link yet. So, but you can see here this all works nicely. So now what I need to do, final item, is of course here, basically how can we put in the website here. What we can do here is basically, I would say here, window dot open, and then we open up basically a new tab. I would highly recommend you to do that one. And then we grab here, what exactly do we want to open? This is the link, put it in there, comment this out, save this, refresh. Now I click here on Monday, and Monday is chartjs3.com, beautiful. This one is chartjs.org, beautiful. Wednesday is Google, and here we get Amazon, and then we get Flipkart, and we get whatever you get here, Food Panda, and grab.com, beautiful. So now we get all of these items. What I want to do here, and this is what I did quickly, but I want to make sure you understand this. I want to cut out this, put it in here, and I just wonder, let's see here if this didn't work or if we can remove this now. If I refresh here, do this, this will all work nicely. Alright, there we are, this still works. Does it give us an error with this? Let me double check here just to be sure. Alright, you can see here this becomes too much, so we need to always reset this. Apparently this is like an infinite loop here. Don't do that. At least that's not what we want. We just want to have this. Alright, so that is fine. The resize here, let me explain this. This is very important as well. Once you understand this here, with the resize is once our chart changes. So let's go back here. Let's do this on 80% or 85%. Save this. Refresh. Here, if we resize this, if I change this now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that this works here as well. And alright, I realize something is not working. If I click on it, there we are, we get some issues here. Alright, so this will be a big issue, I guess. We have to solve this one first. Alright, so I'm going to explore how to do that one. Alright, luckily it's just a quick fix. I figured out that we should not do it like this here. This is apparently absolutely not recommended. Go down here and put it in here. So basically here, if you do this here, that it will always resize the chart on mouse move, but also on click. And the reason why I'm doing this is just for this here. I want to always make sure that this works nicely, but if I close this, here you can see here now it works again. So it will just resize it. It will, of course, give a slightly loading effect because of the resize, but that's acceptable because what we want to do here is to make sure that the link will move if you move the tab here, of basically the browser. So if you reduce the size of it or you have a mobile responsive version, you need to make sure that this all works. And this is basically the entire way to do it, which is a quite long video. So before I close up, because I noticed I forgot or I made a mistake somewhere, and there was this one, probably you've noticed it, it's the skills left. So this needs to be, of course, not twice skills left. One was for skills left and the other was skills right. So this is the only thing I forgot. If you fix this and do this correctly, then you will see that the expanding of the chart or changing the chart size will work nicely, because if not it would give you an error. And this one is here. So if you like this video, or maybe you say, well, hold on, I would like to even play around here with more advanced items with data sets and maybe even make this now also clickable. Well, guess what? I have a nice video for you as well. So So in that case, if you want to make the bars as well clickable, well, this video here explores and explains exactly how you can make the bars clickable. That when you click on the bars, you will go also to a different link. So then you have a very, very interactive chart as well. Highly recommended if you want to push that one as well.